Okay, to get started, you guys have vocabulary. I copied it on the back sheets of your handouts so you're able to write out those definitions. Also checking in the tray yesterday, I saw that most didn't get their notes done or their worksheets. We have 3 different lessons this week that I'm going to be grading on. Your do nows or your worksheets, you should be turning those in, and we're testing on those 3 subjects. So I left more in the back. You guys want to make sure that you get those done, because that information is on the test, and a lot of the questions from the worksheet and the examples are going to be on the test. Okay, so looking at this this section, we're graphing, we're dealing with x and y's, domains, and ranges. So looking at this first example, we're expressing a relation of track meet scoring system. So for first place, it's 5 points. Second place, it's 3 points. Third place is 2 points, and fourth place is 1 point. So normally in an ordered pair is what we have here. Your x always comes first. So when I say x, when we go to graph this out, so x and y. So I'm going to go to x, which is right here, and I'm going to go to y, 1. Where these meet together is what an ordered pair is. So we're 1 and 5, 2 and 3, 3 and 2, and 4 and 1. This is plotted out. Now, from yesterday's lesson, when we have individual things, that's what a discrete graph is. Individual points versus continuous solid line within the graph. So we're dealing with domain and range, and the way we write domain is D and a colon, and write whatever our x's are. Range, y, r, whatever our y's are. Okay? So I graphed this out, so we have the points. Because it's y, it's going to be our range, and our domain is our x, so that's our place. So points and place, graph them out. We can see what happens with this data, that someone in first place all the way to fourth increases their points. So this is what we call a map, and this is place and points, x and y, and mapping is whatever x belongs to whatever y. So this x belongs to this y, this x belongs to this y, and so on. So our ordered pair 1 and 5, 1 and 5. So the x going to the y, the 2 belonging to the 3, 3 belonging to the 2, 4 belonging to the 1. We call this mapping. The mapping is the actual areas, and then the box is the table. So on your handout, your worksheet, you're going to be doing all of this. You're going to be telling me your domain, you're going to be telling me your range, you're going to be doing a table, and you're going to be doing mapping. The reason why the mapping is important is because it tells us whether it's a function or not. So, mapping this arrow, which x belongs to which y. So there's our first example. Second example, find the domain and range. So we have an ordered pair of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and there's our line. Okay? So we're going to focus on the domain first, that we're starting at 1, and we're ending at 4. 1 and 3. So 1 and 3. So it goes in between here. So our domain is going to be 1 to 3, or we write it 1, 2, and 3. And then our range is the same thing. What's running up at the y? 2 through 4. So 2, 3, 4 is what our range is. So our r is 2, 3, 4. So this was already plotted out. We're just trying to determine what the range and what the domain is. So when it comes to domain, we focus on what points are hit here, and when it's the range, we focus on what points that are here. So after we have our domain and our range, we set it up in a table, and then we do the mapping. So this 1 belongs to the 2, and then when we go to 2 and 3 would be our next point. Let me graph that out. 2 and 3 would be our next point. So that's one right there, and then 3 and 4. So 3 belongs to 4 in the ordered pair, 2 belongs to 3 in the ordered pair as far as the x and y, and then 1 and 2, the x, the y, the arrows are what the mapping is. So once again, ordered pairs, 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4. We can tell the ordered pairs from the graph. Then we list the domains, 1, 2, and 3. Ranges, 2, 3, and 4. We draw a table of our x and y, and we show mapping. So that's a very good example of how all your questions are on the test, yes, the test and your worksheet. You're going to be plotting things out, telling me domain and range. You're going to be doing a table, and you're going to be showing me mapping. All right, let's look at this example right here. Give domain and range and tell whether the relation is a function. Okay, so we have a field trip, and these are our students' counts. So 75, 68, and 125, and this is how many buses they take. So 75 takes 2 buses, 68 takes 2 buses, 125 takes 3 buses. So we have x's and we have y's, so we list our domains, 75, 68, and 125. Now ranges, we don't list the 2 twice. It's whatever our range is. So if a range repeats, we only list it once. So in looking at this, looking at the mapping, 75 belongs to 2, 68 belongs to 2, and 125 belongs to 2. So this is what's key. These are the words you want to know when you go to write out whether something is a function or not. So we say that each domain is paired with exactly one range. Yes, this is a function. So now we're going to move to one that is not a function. So we have x's, 7, 9, 12, and 15, and we have ranges 7, -1, and 0. Now I want to kind of come back to this one here. We have 3 and 3, so this one works out, but typically, if you see that you have more domains than ranges, typically it's not going to be a function. Now, this is why we do the mapping, so we understand this. So here's our ordered pairs, 7 and 7, 9 and -1, 12, 0, 15 and 0. So if we're looking at the mapping here, 15 belongs to 0, 12 belongs to -1, 9 belongs to 7. But look at what happens to this 7 up here. This 7 is sharing ranges of -1 and 0. And x has to be paired with exactly one range to be a function. So that means this is not a function. And the reason why we say that it's not, it's 7 is paired with 2 ranges. So if an x has 2 y's, it can't be a function. Okay? So we list the domains, we list the range, we have a table, we have our mapping. Okay, now our last example. This is an area within the graph. We're focusing on what our domains and what our ranges are. So the same thing that I covered on this one, it's the same. We're going to look at our x, and we're going to determine what area is covered. So if we're looking at here, we're 0 or origin, we're going back 3, -1, -2, -3, and then from 0, 1, 2, and 3. So we know that our domain range is from -3 to 3, and each point in between. So anything that crosses the x, that's what our domain is, and then our y is what our range is. So looking at what our range is, we're 0, origin, 1, 2, 3, and then 0, -1, -2, -3. So these ones are the same. So our ranges are going to be -3 through 3. We form a table. Now, we don't actually have a linear function here. This is just covering a range, so we don't have mapping when it comes to this one. So, okay, so these examples are very similar to what it is that you'll be doing on your worksheet. Now, let me explain what I expect. We are covering graphing, functions, writing functions all through the week. So we have a lesson every single day this week. If you did not get 4-1 done, you want to make sure that you get it done. Those questions that are on the worksheet are going to be on the test. You want to know how to do it, what's expected, and so on, which is covered in the notes. So today, you also want to get the worksheet done. Now, the worksheet doesn't take very long, and you have the examples to do what it is that you need to do on the worksheet. So once again, I'm looking for the table, I'm looking for the mapping, I'm looking for the domain and range. It's also a very good idea to label your ordered pairs. You need to remember that x always comes first. So it's your x and your y coordinates and where they meet on a graph. So that is it for today. You want to get that done and turn it in. If you did not finish 4-1 or you decided not to do it or whatever, it's sitting in the back. You want to make sure you get that done. I'm going to grade those Thursday when you guys are taking the test. So 4-1, 4-2, and 4-3 we're covering this week. We're testing on all 3 of those. So you want to be diligent to get this done. Any questions, you can come see me after school. All right. Good. Oh, good talk.